Possessions make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever. Marley succinctly captured Rastafarian philosophy with these few pithy words. It is this approach to life, borrowed from the traces of Rastafarian philosophy, that has characterized my own philosophy ever since. Growing up as I did in a post-slavery society, where one is acutely aware of one's status as the descendant of slaves, there exists a largely unspoken but palpable understanding within the Black community about property and its relationship to abolition. It was still illegal in my Barbadian childhood to take a few pieces of cane from the fields, a crop that had even then been in decline for many years. The irony of this shouldn't be lost on anyone. Sugarcane was the crop that historically led to the enslavement of Black people on that small island. It was because of the cane that it came to be their home. Indeed, in my youth, plantations still hired watchmen and even policemen, at that time they were always men, to make sure that those living near cane fields didn't take a few stalks for their personal enjoyment. This too has lingered with me ever since, and I reflect on it often. It has given me a better understanding of the sometimes hidden relationships and practices around property that have marked it in my mind as a serious societal problem. And it's also part of the rationale for why I've come to believe that, in the Americas, but also across what we call the West, Black people will not be fully able to breathe, a word I do not use lightly, until property itself is abolished. What is these days termed abolition politics is, I am going to suggest, the route to Black people's full breath. When I heard about George Floyd's final plea for breath in Minneapolis, Minnesota on May 25, 2020, it seemed at first merely one among many other deaths in recent years. But it also immediately reminded me of Eric Garner's similar plea when he died at the hands of police for selling loose cigarettes on the street in New York City on July 17, 2014. And these deaths linked up with other recent ones of Trayvon Martin in Florida, and Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, and Jermaine Carby in Peel, Ontario, among so many others before and alongside them. But Floyd's death in the midst of the pandemic seemed to reignite the call for the urgent transformation of Black people's encounters with police, as well as of policing in a manner more broadly construed. The COVID-19 pandemic had already set in motion numerous demands for change and for a reckoning with how we live in North America and much of the Western world. And the images and reports around Floyd's death seem to increase the likelihood of yet another reckoning. That a Black man could be openly killed in the streets by state-sanctioned authority for passing a counterfeit $20 bill was not surprising to me. It was a sad truth. We had seen it before, but in a pandemic in which the possibility of death was heightened for all of us, it seemed to ring differently. Why that is the case, I do not know, but Floyd's death also affirmed what many Black people like me already knew, that we have a different relationship to property and its meaning than white people and many other people of color do. This, too, should not be a surprise to anyone. The issue of property sits at the center of Black people's relationship with policing, both past and present, and it is central to making sense of why more and more Black people, alongside others who support our communities, called for the defunding of the police, prisons, and the entire judicial system in the wake of George Floyd's murder. An abolitionist future is not possible without the abolition of police. And it is my contention that this is not possible without the abolition of property. In the days after George Floyd's death, a battle cry was sounded to defund and abolish the police. An abolitionist mood was in the air on streets across North America, in Canada, as well as in the United States, and from there it spread to other countries and other continents. Enough that we could believe, if only for a moment, that real change might finally be possible. How did we arrive here? What does abolition